Hello, and welcome to the Application Delivery How-To series. My name is Trevor, and today we're going to take a look at how to deploy modern load balancing in NSX Data Center for overlay segments. For a brief overview of the integration between AVI and NSX-T, you simply deploy your AVI controller into your desired environment, and you connect that controller into your NSX-T manager and vCenter via service accounts through those various APIs. This allows AVI to control the lifecycle and scaling of the service engines by manipulating deployment, upgrades, and routing changes into your vCenter and NSX-T environments. This is configured as what we call a cloud connector in AVI, which I will show you right now. In the AVI controller, to configure your NSX-T cloud connector, you go to Infrastructure and then Clouds, and then you can begin your NSX-T cloud configuration. To take a look at my configuration, you can see you give the cloud connector a name, and you also provide an object prefix for the service engine VMs to follow a naming convention in vCenter. You need to plug the AVI controller into your NSX manager via the IP or FQTDN and by providing credentials for that NSX service account. And you're also going to have to specify the transport zone as well as tier 1 and segment, the overlay segment for both the management NIC of the service engines and for the data NIC of your service engines. Finally, you select which vCenter that you would like to leverage to deploy the service engine compute on. And optionally, you can define an IPAM and DNS profile if you'd like AVI to manage the IP address pools and automate the domain name records as you provision virtual services. That's all that's required to get the integration up and running. Let's take you back to the main view and provision our very first VIP on an NSX-T overlay segment. I'm going to click Create Virtual Service, go to Advanced Setup, and I'm going to select the NSX-T cloud that I just walked you through. I'm going to give my virtual service a name. Call it my overlay virtual service. And I'm going to leverage that IPAM and DNS integration to automate the provisioning of a domain name and automate the selection of an IP address. So I'm going to tell AVI which network and pool I'd like to pull the IP address from. I'm also going to define the tier 1 router that this is going to be deployed underneath. I'll show you why we do that here in just a minute. Finally, I'm going to select a pool. I have a pool that's made up of an NS group in NSX. So inside of the NSX inventory, this is actually a group inside of my NSX-T manager. That should be all I need. Now I'm just going to continue through the configuration wizard and publish my first virtual service. Within a few seconds, my virtual service should come online and begin accepting traffic. As you can see, the health score has turned green as the virtual services come online. Now I'm simply going to navigate to the IP address. And because I'm leveraging the IPAM integration as well as DNS integration, I could even go directly to the domain name if I wanted to. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to show you how I can navigate directly to the IP. And now I'm hitting that server being load balanced by AVI on top of an NSX overlay segment. Now, because I'm leveraging a modern load balancer on top of my NSX-T environment, I have some pretty interesting and unique advantages. So for example, within my virtual service, I can actually go ahead and scale out this application. So if I needed to accept more traffic and scale out the amount of connections that this application can take, all I need to do is go into the AVI configuration, tell it to scale out this virtual service, and I'm going to say, go ahead and create an entirely new service engine. I'm going to begin that scale out action. And what's going to happen behind the scenes as this scales out is that AVI is going to begin automating the deployment of a new service engine in my vCenter that I selected in the NSX cloud. So in response to that scale out event, you can see that the AVI controller is automating the deployment of a new OVF, a new VM for that new service engine in my vCenter environment, so that way we can accept more traffic and scale out horizontally by clicking that scale out button. You may also automate the scale out of service engines based on your application needs. Okay, so my virtual service has scaled out. I can validate this by going back to my main dashboard, opening up my virtual service and showing you that I now have 2 service engines associated with this overlay virtual service. To show you how we accomplish the scale out via Ecmp and Nsx, I'm going to go back to my tier 1 router and highlight that my route has been updated. My VIP route still exists within my NSX tier 1, but now you'll see I have 2 next hops, one for each of the service engines associated with this virtual service. This automation of Avi controller into NSX-T is what allows us to scale elastically when deploying a modern load balancer like Avi on top of your NSX-T overlay environments. Now, if I'd like to scale my virtual service back down, I can simply begin a scale in action and have the Avi controller automate the removal of that additional service engine, as well as the removal of the routes in NSX-T. Please check out the other exciting videos in our application delivery how-to series. Thanks for watching.